365 days, definitely that can feel like a pretty long time when you're looking at things on a day-by-day basis. But in reality, if you think about the past 12 months, there's probably a couple memorable things that stand out for you in your past year, and the rest is most likely somewhat of a blur. And just actually me even making you reflect on this is probably making you realize just how quickly the past year has flown by. After all, if we take a second here to zoom back over the past 12 months, you probably had no idea what the heck an NFT was, let alone why anyone would pay $69 million for one. And if you're a Canadian like myself, you may have even forgotten the fact that we had a curfew last year. Yeah, a curfew. My point being though that if you don't take a second every once in a while to really think about what's going on right now and moving forward in your life, it can be really easy to just, slip into the mundane and the routine, which is pretty much the ultimate kryptonite to crushing new goals and setting new goals that hopefully you've started doing for 2022. So anyways, in today's video, I wanted to take the opportunity with everyone watching here to take a look at what were some of the goals that I had personally set out for myself at the beginning of 2021 in various different aspects of my life. And by the way, if you've never done this yourself, I would challenge you to follow along at home and audit your past year. Audit what ended up going right and what ended up going wrong, and were you able to hit the goals you set out for yourself in 2021? And with that said, it is absolutely critical that you do set out goals for your next year. If you're not doing this, how would you ever expect to achieve your true potential over the next year if you're not having an aligned vision for what your business is going to look like over the next year, as well as maybe your other professional ventures and even just your life in general? Yeah, so here we are. I printed out my list of goals for 2021. I actually couldn't even find this. I had to go back on my computer's archives because I think I deleted it. I was already minded on 2022. But yeah, so I printed this out and let's take a look right now. It's divided up into a couple different sections. We have YouTube related, property related for my real estate business, finance in general, and then health related goals. Yeah, let's take a look starting with YouTube related. So number one here in YouTube related was reach 100,000 subscribers and get my plaque, which would have equated at the beginning of the year to around 84 subs per day. And yeah, that didn't end up happening, but you know what? That's okay. In the next year, in 2022, guaranteed, we're gonna hit 100,000 subscribers in this year. I have no doubt about it. Post 3 videos per week for around 150 videos in the year. I'm not even sure if I did do that. I tried staying relatively consistent with myself, but yeah, over the next year though, I think I'm gonna really focus on stuff that I think the audience is really gonna vibe with over a longer period of time than just like quick short videos. Now the next one seems maybe kind of like vain or vanity metric here. Generate 300K from channel. I don't think I reached that. Actually I know I didn't. I fell somewhat short, but that's another thing that's totally okay. As you're gonna see in my goals here that I set out for 2021, one thing that I like to do is set them actually kind of even higher than you think you're going to be able to achieve in the year, and therefore you're minded and you're subconscious to try and achieve those and find different ways to achieve those higher targets and those higher goals. And so even if you do fall short, you're still quite a bit higher than if I had said like make 100K on the channel this year, and then I can what does that equate to? Like $8,000 per month or something. Well, on most months I've done more than that. So by striving for 300K, even if I fell short, I am farther ahead than had I just done like $100,000. And then from there, sell 20K total worth of the course. The course, by the way, is my full stock market investing course, and I'm not really going to speak about that right now or plug it, but this is one of my digital products, and I think I did about 16,000 over the past year or so, which is really fantastic because ultimately I made that for anyone wanting to learn how to invest in the stock market. So I'm really proud of that, and I'm happy that I was able to do around 16K worth of sales. Now moving into the second section here, which is property related goals I had in 2021. Number one was close on 10 doors, and then in parentheses, create above $75,000 worth of equity for myself. Now quickly here, if you're not super familiar with real estate investing, equity is essentially the portion of the value's home that belongs to you and that is not tied up in, say, mortgage debt that you have with a bank. So if a property is worth 200K, you have $100,000 left on the house, you have $100,000 worth of equity in that property. Now this one I absolutely crushed. So the 75K equity definitely is something I achieved just even in this house alone. If you watched my recent video speaking about the numbers on this house that I recently just did, I made over about 150K worth of equity, that is, but I was also very lucky in this past year where the value of homes in my region, well, first of all, in Canada as a whole, even in North America, but in Canada as a whole, and then also in my region of Ottawa-Gatineau, property values have really skyrocketed. So that was definitely to my advantage, but I'm really of the mindset that just taking action and doing something, even if it's not the most opportune time, is something that over the long run is going to pay. Now, I was just lucky in the short term, but I just think that consistently investing and then also taking action instead of just analysis paralysis for years, for example, is going to be the best course of action. And then close on 10 doors. I think I did that. How many properties did I close on this year? Like 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, so around 10 doors definitely. And in 2022, that's going to be one of my main focuses as well. And then from here, what did I have? End the year with a joint portfolio of above 15 doors. So yeah, I don't think that ended up happening because I ended up selling a couple as well. I think I sold like 2 or 3 over the past year to just materialize some gains, take advantage of the market that has really skyrocketed, and then just rolled that money right back into other properties to repeat the process right now. So yeah, I mean, property related, I actually achieved the goals that I had set out for myself, and I'm pretty happy about that. By the way, I hope you're enjoying this conversation here where we're talking about some of my goals. I'd love to know, comment down below though, what were some of the goals that you had set out relating to your business? In my case, it was YouTube, but your business as well as your other investments like real estate or property. And we're going to be speaking about other things as well. But yeah, comment down below. And if you're enjoying the video, make sure to turn that like button blue. It really helps the channel out and reach a wider audience. Finance related. So the first one was make 20K per month consistently in my business, pretty much overall. So this is something that as an entrepreneur is kind of hard to achieve every single month, a consistent amount of income. Every single month it is varying for me. Some months I made like 10K, other months I made like 25, but overall around 240K in the year. Yeah, I'd say it was around that this year that I made. I'm not going to break it down in today's video, but if you want to see a video where I spoke about some of my income sources, I'd highly recommend you check that out as well. Next one, build an emergency fund of 1 year's worth of expenses, which is around 45K. So 45K is actually quite a bit for some people, but that's just my current reality with this house, my car, and other living expenses. So I just wanted, as a full-time YouTuber, someone who makes videos on the internet, that can be relatively volatile. So even though this does seem relatively conservative, having a full year's worth of expenses is just something that I was really striving to achieve, and just to make me more comfortable and also take other risks with maybe some riskier investments or things that I think over time will do better but pose higher risk in the short term. So by having a full year's worth of expenses, this is just something that I felt comfortable with, but I usually just say around 6 months. But ultimately this is just going to come down to your current financial situation, your professional situation, and just what you want out of life, as well as your risk profile, like your level of risk that you're willing to take in your overall life and your finances, and then also your investor profile. But yes, I did manage to actually hit that, and I'm really happy about it. Moving down the list in spot number 3 here, save and invest minimum 10K per month in paper portfolios. Yeah, this was kind of, it's kind of one of those like fixed goals, 10K per month, but again, it varied every single month depending on what ended up happening. Like I had some huge expenses on my house that I had to pay for, like paint, roof, etc. So all of these things are definitely like quite costly and dug into my capacity to do this every month. But just trying every month in your mind to say like, I'm going to try and save and invest as much as possible is just something that works for me, and I think also most people could benefit from as well. Instead of having a fixed amount each month, just be conscious and mindful of your expenses, and then also try to just save and invest as much as possible if that's something that you're interested in. Goal number 4 and 5, let's just gun through these. So build a stock portfolio of at least 250K in market value. Right now it's actually not that much. It's just under like 200 at this point, and then reach a net worth of 750K. Realistically, honestly, I'm not even sure. I mean, a lot of that is also tied up in equity value for properties that I have, and that's somewhat subjective based on the market value of properties, but it's somewhere around there. And if I actually take a step back and think about my past year, well, when I was writing those out, I remember being like 750K, that's actually crazy. I was gonna put it at around 500, and now I'm above 500, and it feels really good because again, I was able to strive for those higher goals than a lower goal, and even though I somewhat fell short, it is higher than what it would have been previously. And then last but not least, the last section was health related goals. So exercise for an hour at the gym or in basement 3 times a week. And it might kind of be confusing as to why I put also basement. When I was writing these last year, here in Quebec where I live, which is a province in Canada, there was a full-on curfew, as well as everything was shut down for months, including gyms, which was really difficult. And unfortunately, as I'm filming this, yesterday, we just went back into a position where all the gyms are closed. So I'll probably be working out in the basement again. But yeah, 3 times per week, that's actually something I ended up hitting. Start preparing healthier whole meals with Sophie, who's my girlfriend. Yeah, just overall, just trying to cut junk foods and all that is definitely something that I have been doing and been trying to be mindful of over the past year. Of course, there's days where I had, poutine and pizza, but overall, just trying to be more healthy is something that helps in every aspect of your life. So yeah, over the past year, goals for 2021, pretty interesting. Let's now speak about what my investing strategy and some of my goals for 2022 are. And again, make sure to comment down below which ones of your goals you were able to hit and what are your main 2022 goals. So let's get into that right now. So actually, yeah, over the past week or so, I've taken some time to just step back, chill, relax, and kind of make a full audit of what's to come in 2022 for my business, my investments, and other aspects of my life, which is something that actually I never really do, if I'm being fully honest. I'm always on the go, on the grind, and in 2022, I want to take a bit more time to be like decisive and mindful towards what I'm going to be doing, and everything that I want to be doing with my business and my investments is going to be very intentional towards one strict goal, because I think that's going to really help expedite the process of achieving the goals I've set out for myself instead of being like scatter-minded and all over the place. So yeah, let's take a look at the first thing. Of course, in my investment strategy, we have to speak about stock market investments because of course I invest in the stock market, and if you're watching this channel, most likely you invest in the stock market as well. Now, right off the bat here, speaking about the stock market, I want to address the fact that the stock market can be definitely very confusing right now for most retail investors. We're in a period where interest rates are supposed to be high over the next year. We're also seeing certain stocks defying all logic regarding their market movements, where one single article or one headline will come out, it'll either crash the stock down by 30% or maybe the opposite, it'll shoot it up in one single trading day by 15, 20, 30%. This is something we've definitely seen over the past year over and over again. So as a retail investor, it can be very difficult to sort of grasp what's going on and trying to always being on the pulse or having your finger on the pulse of the market. But realistically, even though as humans we really like to try and dissect everything, look at the data, look at the numbers, and have a firm grasp and understanding on how the markets are going to be moving and why they're moving a certain way, let alone on a specific stock, which is even much harder to do in the short term. And actually, that's something that I have done on my channel over the past year, right? If you've been subscribed, well, I try to give market updates on a continuous basis, but this is very difficult to do when you're looking at multiple different stocks at once. And over the course of time, like over a long period of time, what makes most retail investors successful is a combination of three main things, being that consistency, the time in the market, and then also proper asset allocation based on what represent like your needs as an investor and your risk tolerance, really. Let's actually take a moment to individually speak about each one of these, starting with that consistency, which really might seem obvious because it is, but the consistency on a month-to-month basis, or really just as much as you can, as well as the size of those deposits, makes a monumental impact on the long-term growth of your portfolio. I think a lot of retail investors kind of fall short in understanding the power of this one simple element in the overall investment equation over time for the value of your portfolio. Just missing, let's say, 5 years of contributions from someone who's say 20 to someone who's 25, and then all the way up until you're 50 makes a monumental impact on the growth and end value of your portfolio, really. Number two is that time in the market, which I know is something I speak about a lot, and it might sound really obvious, but time in the market is the second most important factor contributing to long-term passive success for most retail investors, because the reality is that most people have jobs and aren't able to consistently stay up to date with certain positions and always trying to find that next hero position that's going to go up 300-400% in a 5-year time frame. Most people are better off just consistently investing into the broad market, and over time, really, this is going to probably have a higher return on investment than always always trying to individually pick certain positions. And this is exactly why on the channel I routinely speak about investing myself as well in passive broad market exchange trade funds like the S&P 500, NASDAQ 100, as well as some small and mid cap stocks. And actually that is something that I will be doing over the course of next year. Every single month I invest into the same like 5 stocks, or same 5 ETFs I should say, that really invest and diversify my investments towards the broad market. And even if in the short term the markets go down, this is something that I like to embrace and really just consistently buy more into the market, because over the long term, regardless of the doomsday that happens in the short term, if you really look over the past 100 years, consistently investing over the long term usually yields the highest results for the average retail investor. And then that third one was proper asset allocation, which arguably is the most important. And now I'm saying that, I'm kind of realizing that I said every single one was just as important or the most important, but yeah, they are all just as important. So proper asset allocation comes down to crafting a portfolio that really just meets your needs as an investor in regards to equity positions as well as fixed income positions. If you're constantly jumping from the hot NFT this month to Forex investing next month to growth stocks another month, well, you're never able to build up any momentum and consistency with your overall strategy. So yeah, really taking the time to think, who am I? How old am I? What type of financial position am I in? And what should I be focusing on over the next year? For myself, for example, I usually split my portfolio like 10% max in fixed income, and then usually 90% in equities. But that's just really specific to my personal situation. So take a step back this year at the beginning of the year and try to focus on implementing and maintaining that strategy over the course of 2022. And at the end of the day, I'm a long-term investor, always have been and probably always will be. I don't see why that would change. And I encourage people to also adopt this same mentality. Now, of course, the second, or I guess that would be four. So the second part of my investment strategy over the course of 2022 has to do with real estate. With truthfully over the past 2 years or so, as I've been investing in real estate, I've just absolutely fallen in love with this asset class because I'm able to really guarantee certain returns, and then everything else is just extra gravy on top. So let's speak about that a bit more right now. Yes, I definitely speak about stocks a lot on this channel. That's usually the main focus, but in reality, over the past 2 years, just based on the nature of how real estate works, it has actually inched slower, or it's inched up towards being the largest asset class in my overall global portfolio because of the nature and wealth building properties of real estate, being those cash flows every month I'm generating on each property, having income being higher than all the expenses on the property. Also, the tenants actually paying down the mortgage loan. That is, when I realized that is just something that blew my mind, and I just fell in love with the concept. I have other people buying assets for me. So yeah, that's the second one. And then also that extra gravy on top of being able to do strategic renovations, raise the rents over time, and then really increase the property's value in the marketplace. Because if you're able to go in and make some renovations and just overall make the property better, well, it's worth more in the market. So all of those combined have quickly made real estate the largest portion of my overall investment portfolio. So when it comes to the actual strategy though for real estate in 2022, I think I'm just going to try and be as aggressive as possible, but hit around 30 doors would be like my goal for the year. If I'm able to achieve that, I would be extremely happy. And the reality is I'm probably going to sell some over the course of the year anyways. So having some of those flips are going to diminish the amount of doors, but really just trying to create as much equity as possible and identifying properties where I can create a lot of value. That is pretty much the silver lining for everything that I speak about regarding business and all that. You need to be looking to create value in the assets in the marketplace, and that's what's going to raise their value as well. So yeah, taking a look at this, around 30 doors would be my goal. And then it's really, you need to remember with real estate, I'm not going to dive into it a lot, but it's really on the buy and the opportunity of the property that you're able to make the most amount of money. Now moving into that third section here for my investment strategy, we're going to be speaking about cash. And although cash doesn't really have a direct like investment property to it, cash is really something that for me, I'm viewing a lot more of like a comfort buffer, as well as having cash on hand to, if we do see, the market drop down in 2022 based on certain economic factors that right now we're seeing, well, this is going to be a further opportunity to, again, buy back into the market for that longer term growth. So we spoke about at the beginning of the video, I have around a year's worth of expenses, definitely really happy about that. And I'm not going to be padding that anymore, but I also have, cash in my actual brokerage account ready to take action on certain individual stocks potentially, but then also consistently buying into the market over the next year. That pretty much wraps it up for the cash portion of my investment strategy. And then finally this year, I am also going to focus on buying and dollar cost averaging a bit more into crypto assets, specifically Bitcoin as well as Ethereum. Now, I know what you're probably thinking, Bitcoin and Ethereum, usually when we're speaking about cryptocurrencies here, it's all like to the moon, and as well as different videos speaking about which altcoins are going to make you a millionaire overnight. That's not at all what I'm speaking about here. I'm not trying to identify the next crazy hot altcoin that's going to go to the moon. I'm really looking to dollar cost average into the larger assets, the Ethereum as well as Bitcoin, over the course of next year. And it's something that I've also started doing. If we take a look actually at my account here, let's take a look quickly. There isn't much, but yeah, we can see so around 1.658 worth of ETH, and then in my other portfolio I've got some BTC, some Ethereum, as well as a tiny little bit of Cardano. But really, after reading the book Bitcoin Standard, which is actually in the stack here, so I'm not going to take it out, but I'll show you right here. This book really kind of opened my eyes as to the relative value of Bitcoin and why over time I believe this will be something really just to hedge against inflation as well as currency devaluation. So do I think we're going to be using it in everyday transactions? I don't really think so. I think it's really just going to be sort of a store of value and a hedge against inflation over the next years. And also make sure to understand, I'm not looking to time the crypto market in any way, shape, or form. I'm just really looking to buy on the dips and buy when the coins are depressed in value, so that over time this can appreciate, hopefully it can appreciate and be what I set it out to be, being that hedge against inflation and store of value. So that will wrap up today's video, though. I really hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please take a second to like the video. It really helps my channel out. And again, I would love to know, what were some of your goals in 2021? Okay, some of the goals that you set out, were you able to achieve those or not? Make sure to comment down below, and also make sure to comment what were some of the things that you're looking to achieve in 2022. Also, don't forget to check out all the links down below in the description for different resources I use and recommend. You can get some free money, like on Wealthsimple Trade, for example, $25 for free. Or if you're looking to get into real estate but don't necessarily have the money, you can purchase into crowdsourced real estate with Addy and also get $25 for free using my link down in the description. So thanks a lot for watching today's video, and on that note, I will see you in the next one.